What are you doing here? Are you lost? Overwhelmed? I'm so sorry. Well, it looks like you retreated at least to a very nice, comfortable place. But you appear stuck. If you would like to share any of that with me, I'd be happy to listen. Do you mind if I get a little closer and I take a look? Thank you. Yeah. You look like you're quite weighted down there. So tell me, what is it that bothers you? What's so heavy that has you stuck here? I see. I mean, you can start with just one piece at a time if you'd like. I can see that there's a whole bunch of these heavy little weights all over you. Well, if I can make any suggestion, can I help to alleviate those weights? It's not going to make the problems go away necessarily, but if it helps you rest, to just lay them down for a little while. You don't need to carry them all the time. I can relate, and I'm sorry. Well, how about we try just one at a time? Let's just focus on one burden, one little stone at a time. And not forget the burden necessarily, but just to set it down. Just so you don't have to carry it for just a little while. And how about with every burden you tell me what it represents? Just little by little, one stone at a time. Okay. How about we start with this one? Doesn't look like it's a particularly large one. But we're just gonna take this burden, this little tiny weight, just lay it here on the ground for a little bit. It's the feeling of obligation. To who? No. Sometimes obligations to other people, if they can't be addressed right here and now, why don't we just set it to the side? We can come back to it. You're not going to leave it or abandon it. We're just going to let it rest on the ground right here next to us for a little while. It's one expectation. And when we come back to it and we pick it back up, it won't be such a heavy burden because you'll have time to have rested from it. Now this looks like a pretty heavy one. Do you mind if and there's pieces that are crumbling off of it. Doesn't seem like a very stable. Oh. This is not only a heavy burden, but it's been broken up. It's somebody else's burden that they gave to you. Do you want to share that? It's very jagged, unpleasant to touch, unpleasant to carry. It wasn't yours to begin with. It's not a very reliable or sturdy I'm sorry that somebody else gave you this burden. I found in my lived experience that people often not know how to regulate. And many times, myself included, we hand those problems or blame them on others. We're all human, we all do it. I'm going to take this away though. I'm just going to very gently and mindfully set it to the side. It wasn't yours to begin with. And sometimes, as much as we wish to carry it, it's not something that we can solve either. I'm sorry that you know that. What we can do, though, sometimes is just hold the space and empathy, because we've too found ourselves in those positions before. But right now, we're not going to carry it. We're not going to forget it, but we're not going to carry it. We're just going to allow it to rest. Its jagged, crumbly influence. We don't need it right now. It's okay not to give your energy to that right now. How about this stone? It's a very pretty stone. It's soft. It's not very heavy, but it's gentle. Tell me what this burden weighs on you. Time management. You're pretty good at it though. And aesthetically, looks like you're managing it pretty well. But this time right now, this is your time. And as light as this might be, I'm just going to set it down for a little while. This is your time without having to carry or consider it. For a little while, we'll come back to it, and that's okay. I see another stone right here in the back. It's kind of been lingering. And it is a part of that jagged stone, but this one is crumbling more. It's thinner. It's dustier. This one's been following you for a while. It didn't always start out that big, but it is now. I'm going to place this stone right next to its original counterpart. That's a very heavy, multifaceted weight. Just going to set it to the side. And you can feel with every little burden individually saying, not right now. This doesn't need to be given energy right now. You can feel the energy come back to you. This beautiful place. You can breathe. You can exist. And speaking of my next point, this burden here, the burden of other people's judgments. You can tell that the stone has been chipped away. Its influence has sustained damage. And in that time, you've learned to less and less weight. That's good. It's okay that it's still there, though, to say that other people's judgments don't matter. I think they'll always matter to some degree. And their influence we carry for a very long time, so for this beautiful stone that has developed and been scarred by the judgments of others, we're just going to lay it down here on the ground. Just going to keep it to the side. A reminder of what it's there for and what it's done, but not being responsible for carrying it. And now this one right here. This one is unique. It's a very dark, smooth weight. It does have some dust and debris on it. Tell me what this one symbolizes. It's a sadness. I'm so sorry that you know that. The sadness of things changing. Or fear, almost, of what you've lost or what you're losing. It doesn't slow down. You can't just pause and wait for it to subside. That's a heavy, heavy weight. But you're here right now. There's no expectations, there's no judgments. You can just rest. And with that, I'm going to set this to the side next to our other small burdens. And just know that time will continue to go forward. As difficult as that might be sometimes to understand, also know that it's the same for everybody. We're all going to have those moments where we wish we could just pause indefinitely. And you have every right to feel that loss, but also sitting with the discomfort and knowing you've survived everything you have up until now. That sadness will dissipate. So let's just set it down, not having to carry that weight for just a moment. Each one of these little burdens here and there, you can feel yourself become lighter and lighter. The environment around you, the nice breeze on your skin. It's nice, isn't it? Now here's another one here. Just gonna remove it. And this one has a sharp cutoff. A little bit dusty. This one represents anger, frustration, not being able to have a desired outcome, and experiencing frustration. Let's just take a moment and let that scale down to 0 for a little bit. Allow that frustration to just not right now. It's okay that you're not understood. It's not your fault. When you're frustrated, it doesn't always have to be your fault. It's okay for it to be nobody's fault. It's okay for it to be somebody else's fault. It's not always a reflection of you. And I see another way that that's heavily contributing to, and this one is a big one. And it needs a lot of work. It's rough. It's dusty. It's jagged. This is your burden of self-worth. I'm so sorry. I think that you're wonderful. You're lovely. You're appreciated. Your self-worth. I wish you could see yourself through my eyes. It's difficult, and I'm sorry that you know when frustration and disappointment seem so consistent. It's difficult to not want to blame yourself and feel like, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Why do people react this way with me? You're valuable. You're seen. You're appreciated. This is a beautiful, beautiful aspect of you. Needs some work? You'll do. But it's a beautiful rock. It's heavy sometimes. So for now, we're going to pause that. Just set it down on the ground. You can feel yourself become lighter and lighter. I can see a couple more smaller. Oh, and there's a very large one here. Pull this down. This is a heavy one. The responsibility to provide. That's a heavy one to carry. If I break apart the rock, these are the parts that you can control. And even then, though, you can't control them all the time. And then here are the parts where you're going to try your best. Right now, the mind and the body wish to have rest and sleep. It's difficult to do that when these are being carried. You're doing the best you can. So right now, at this moment right now, no action, no amount of overthinking that you could do is going to help with either of those two weights. So we're just going to put them down for a moment. These are so heavy to carry. Right now, we just want to focus on breathing, feeling how well you can breathe without those weights. It's not that we're going to forget about them, or that we're never going to pick them back up. Because the truth is, we're always going to have weights to carry. But right now, you have the power to allow yourself and just let them be still for a while. Allow your body to re-energize, not having to carry those. Enjoy the fresh air. Enjoy the sunshine on your skin. You can feel the warmth on your skin. You belong. You're at peace. You can experience peace. You're allowed and deserve to experience peace. Just know that you're appreciated. You're cared for. You're seen. And sometimes it's difficult for sure. You've made it through so much. It's okay to experience negative emotions. It's not always going to be easy. But learning to sit with that discomfort and learning when to just set it down and let it exist. You're not ignoring it, but it deserves to exist too. And that's okay. Learning to sit with your discomfort can be immensely helpful. Just laying it down on the ground, letting it be there. It'll come in waves. Sometimes it'll be very intense, and then it will subside. Rested, when you're ready, when you have the energy, look at all of these rocks on the ground and ask yourself which ones, even if it's just a little one, start with the smallest one. Which one can you carry? Which one can you change? And even if you just start with just that one weight at a time,